All right. Let's go. Let's go on this little wispy thing. Morning, everyone. Hope you're well. Hope you have a great Tuesday morning, wherever you are in this planet. It's nice and wet and miserable down my way, so looking forward to another day indoors. Just giving it a minute for everyone to come in so we can all jump on board. Feel free if you are keen on asking me a question while I'm on. Feel free to ask away. More than happy to answer whatever I can. If, as usual, I can't get to it in a time frame because I do 30 questions in 30 minutes, please send me a DM and I'm more than happy to help you out in any way, shape, or form. But I think doing these 30 questions in 30 minutes. Morning, Taz. I knew it would be you. Makes life a whole lot easier for everybody else. So we're not here wasting our time too much. Morning, Trace. Good to see you joining us, mate. Again, guys. Hey, Jules. Hope you're well. Just to let you know, it's really hard to get questions through on Facebook for some reason. It just keeps going back to the original page, so I might miss them. So if you do have a question, ask away. If I can get to it, I will. If I don't, I'm going to go through my 30 questions in 30 minutes. So usually follow the format of nutrition, training, a bit of mindset, and sometimes a bit of flexibility, mobility as well. So just to cover all bases for all of us, different ages. So it's fat loss, weight loss, training, anything like that. If you've got questions, ask away. So, without further ado, hey, Cars, good morning. How are you? Good to see you up bright and early. Yeah. If you've got any questions to do with that, more than happy to answer it. If it's anything else, sorry, won't be able to answer it just the way it is. All right. What's the best breakfast for sustained energy? Okay. I'm going to answer what I like to eat for sustained energy and what's the best one you can really have. I think the best breakfast has got good amount of carbohydrates, a good amount of fiber, and a good amount of protein. Okay, really, really good. So you can fill yourself up for a very long time. Contrary to what's out there, I love oats. Oats are my favorite thing for breakfast. Others say there's all bullshit in oats. I don't listen to that. Oats, protein powder, some berries on the top, bit of yogurt if you feel like it, some sugar-free maple syrup, something like that. That's a really good breakfast to start the day for sustained energy. So sustained energy means I want to feel full. I want to have enough carbs in there so I can utilize that fuel when I'm doing, if it's training or whatever. So I like to combine protein, carbs, and a bit of fiber for breakfast. Eggs are good for that reason, with whole grain toast, a bit of avocado, some Greek yogurt with berries, and sometimes a little bit of granola is good because I like a bit of crunch. But for me, I try to avoid sugary breakfasts because they give you a bit of an energy crash around the 10 o'clock mark. So look for something that's got high fiber, high protein, high carbohydrate, and you should be okay. Is it okay to skip meals if I'm hungry? If I'm not hungry, is it okay to skip meals if I'm not hungry? Yep, of course it is. Nothing wrong with it. People have fasted for years. If you look back at caveman days, right, sometimes they would go days without food because they maybe didn't hunt well enough. So yeah, it's totally fine to be able to, morning Sarah, to be able to go and skip meals. No issues at all. Okay, just don't make it a habit. Just don't make it too big of a habit. Fasting is really, really good to help you. Fasting is really, really good to help you cut your window of eating down, and that's probably the only reason for it. Okay, it's forcing you to stop eating during that time frame. But if you do break it, it's no big deal. Just be aware that sometimes if you do skip meals, it can lead to overeating later on, and we do want to try and avoid that. So just make sure that your next meal is nice and balanced, full of nutritional value for you, like whether it's I like to make sure it's protein balanced and fiber balanced. So that's the best way to do it. How do I control portion sizes without feeling deprived? Right, this is a pretty good question. So think of your plate as a circle, right? Most plates are round. If you can divide it into thirds, you should have a third of protein, a third of fiber, and a third of some sort of carbohydrate. Okay, that's probably the ideal meal portion, which is roughly around the 200, 150, 200, 250 grams of protein, about the same for carbs and about the same for fiber. So when I say fiber, like veggies and fruit, vegetables and salads and stuff like that. So if you look at your plate again, like the Mercedes-Benz symbol divided into thirds: protein, carbs, and fiber. That's the ideal portion size for your meals. Okay. All this shit about using smaller plates to trick your brain, like, does work, but just if you are on a fat loss diet, make sure you're weighing your food correctly. That's going to be able to give you the proper portion sizes, and that will determine your calories, which will determine whether you're in a deficit or not. Okay. That's the best way to do it. Are carbs at night bad for me? No. Carbs are fine. It's about calories in, calories out over the entire day. Okay. Carbs are fine. So yeah, if anyone tells you any different, it doesn't really matter. Okay. So if you have 300 calories left in your day and you want to have, I don't know, a donut or something, or cookies over night time, no problem. It's not an issue. Okay. It's not an issue as long as it fits in with your calorie count per day. Should I eat differently on rest days? Not necessarily. You might not need as much carbohydrates because you're not needing fuel. So yeah, possibly. For me, it's like I still treat rest days as a normal day, and I'll still fuel accordingly. So mostly, I'll hit my targets on protein, fiber, and calories. So for me, it's no big deal. Keep your nutrient dense food on hand. Stop trying to snack too much on the shitty stuff on your rest days. Rest days doesn't mean get lazy. It just means you give your body time to recover. Okay, so I would still nourish my body properly on a rest day. That's just my opinion on that topic. Hey, Shauno, how are you, buddy? How can I make healthy eating more affordable? Good question, which is very relevant to our day and age at the moment. So if you're looking at proteins, I would go for minces. I would go for white meats, chickens, and fish. They're generally your cheaper option in terms of proteins, or legumes or things like that if you're into that stuff. Frozen fruits and veggies are just as nutritious as fresh. They're still frozen most of the time anyway when they travel. So frozen fruit and veggies are totally fine. Frozen berries I use a fair bit, mangoes and blueberries and strawberries and stuff like that. So yeah, do that. Buy packet salads if you like to. Buy in bulk. Meal prep on weekends if you can. But like, just try and get your lower cost stuff like your eggs, your white meats, and like your minces and stuff like that. Generally are pretty good in terms of affordable protein. Okay. Tuna and stuff like that are good. What are the signs of not eating enough? Constant fatigue, lack of energy, difficulty of concentration, feeling irritable all the time. Sometimes your nails can determine if you are not eating enough. If your workouts aren't the same as they used to be, you don't have enough fuel. That's a good sign that you're not eating enough carbohydrates as well. So yeah, make sure you have carbs in your diet, contrary to everybody else out there. Are there benefits to drinking coffee before workouts? Yeah, 100% there is. It's a natural energy booster. Okay, definitely is, and it can improve overall in performance. Sorry, I'm stumbling across my words this morning. Can help you with focus. Sometimes it increases the metabolism a little bit, obviously being a natural sort of stimulant. You just don't overdo it. That's the thing with caffeine, right? Depends how much you've had in your life. Me, probably it wouldn't affect me at all too much these days if I needed a big spike, but I just love the taste of coffee. That's my favorite thing to have. So yeah, definitely benefits of drinking coffee before a workout. More importantly, before a workout is having some form of carbs and some form of fats or sugars as well, because that's the energy you're going to be burning off while you're in the gym. How do I avoid overeating when dining out? Okay, this is a really good question because I actually had this last night on a kickoff call. Check the menu before you go. Number one, know what you're walking into. If it's a wedding, if it's a night out with your friends, whatever it is. Generally, if you check the menu beforehand, you'll go in with a game plan and you'll be okay. All right. Don't avoid foods that you want to eat. Just try and eat lighter before and afters. What I mean is, if, for example, you wanted to have a palmy and chips with the works, don't have the garlic bread and something else for entree, and don't have a dessert. Just eat the palmy. Like, it's going to be massive calorie dense, but at least you're eating something you like. Or if you like dessert, have a lighter dinner, have a salad or chicken salad or a Thai beef salad or something like that. But check the menu beforehand. Third thing is, Ask for the sauce on the side. Ask for the meat to be cooked the way you like it. Ask. Most of the time, chefs will do that because you're a paying customer. Some won't, which is cool, but you can't control what they put in the sauce or how they cook the food. So if you ask them, hey, I don't want butter or I want a little bit of oil or whatever it is, most of the time they'll do it for you. Whether they do or not, you can't control that, but ask for the sauces on the side. You order a steak with, say, I don't know, mushroom sauce, and it comes out smothered, you can't control the amount of sauce on the plate. And generally, you're going to eat the whole thing because it tastes delicious, right? If you have the sauce on the side, you will be able to administer the portion of sauce that you want on each bite. Okay, it'll definitely save you calories when dining out. How do I know if I'm doing an exercise correctly? All right. For me, it's use the mirrors at the gym to see if that muscle is actually moving. Okay. For example, bicep curls. If you're doing a bicep curl, looking in the mirror to make sure the biceps popping when you're doing the movement. Secondly, is make sure you know how to do the movement correctly to target that body part. Ask for advice, get a PT, watch a video tutorial, something like that. Make sure that you're doing the right movement for the right muscle group. Okay. If it there's another thing called mind muscle connection. So if you can focus on the muscle, like for example, I'm doing bicep curls again, I can feel the bicep pulsing as I flex. Like that's called mind muscle connection. Generally, if it feels like it's moving, it's moving. Okay, it's working that body part. All right. So the best thing to do is start with body weight stuff first, so you can feel the movement, feel the muscle that's working, and then move on to lifting weights. Can I do the same workout every day? Yeah, there's no reason why you can't. There's a lot of people, for example, go back into 20, 30 years ago of the bodybuilders. They generally did the same program every day, just on rinse and repeat 6 days a week, and they got mad results. It's about consistency over time, right? Most people like variety, which is great, and it's good for muscle stimulation in other areas as well. For example, if you're doing the same repetitive motion all the time, you might be missing a target muscle on your back, so doing a bit of variation in exercises will help. But just be mindful of overuse, okay? If you can switch up intensity, rep levels, things like that, you won't get bored so quickly. So we've got to focus on consistency over time when it comes to lifting weights. Okay. It's not just about doing the same one over and over again. What's the best way to warm up before lifting weights? Cool. We've done this a few times. Dynamic stretches are really, really good just to get some blood flow. For me, it's mimicking the muscle group or the area you're targeting. For example, if it's leg day, doing some body weight squats, some lunges, things like that are going to get blood flow to those areas. A little bit of light cardio for 5 minutes on the treadmill is always good, warming up. But for me, it's like the warm-up sets is the most important part. Is if you're about to do squats, doing bar only for 10 or 12 reps, like really getting that target area moving. So that's more important than, for example, static stretching and things like that, because they're better post-workout. So for me, it's mimicking the movement slowly with under less load than what you're going for on your proper lifts. Okay. More important. How do I improve my grip strength? Cool. Avoid using straps if you can, because that's going to improve your grip strength. Generally, like dead hangs off the bar or farmer's carries are really, really good for grip strength. Grip strength also incorporates your forearms as well. So getting your forearms stronger by doing different types of forearm exercises, which were really, really good. But anything that you can really focus on, like the proper load over time with your grip, will get your grip strength 10 times better. Okay. So if your grip strength is stronger, generally you can lift heavier. For example, on the deadlift, for me, I probably will max out at say 100 kilos and I'll need to use a strap because my grip strength's not strong enough for that weight. So I'll use a strap just to help me on that sort of thing. Is it okay to lift weights when feeling sore? Depends on your level of soreness, in my opinion. Okay. You'll know. You'll know. Light soreness is generally okay because it's probably effects of DOMS from yesterday or the day before session. But for me, for example, the other day I was doing back squats and I felt a little bit of a niggle in my back and I stopped straight away because if I went any further, I knew I probably would have injured myself, being the type of person I am. So generally, soreness means you've overworked a certain area or you've lifted in excess of your target at the moment. So if we can avoid working the same muscle group all the time, that'll stop you from being overly sore. Try active recovery if possible. It's going to help you out. Gentle movements, get the blood flow, mobility work, yoga, Pilates, all that stuff is really, really good. But it's pain, right? We've got to measure our pain levels. Only we know. If it's sharp and really uncomfortable, then generally I wouldn't lift. What exercises are best for overall strength? For me, it's your compound exercises, your squats, your deadlifts, your bench press. Like they're probably your three big lifts that are so good for overall strength because they target a lot of muscle areas, your core, depending on which one you're doing. Okay, they're the best ones, in my opinion, for overall strength. Squats just about work every muscle in the lower body. Deadlifts is really the test of ultimate strength. Even push-ups or pull-ups are really, really good in terms of, working upper body really well. So if you can master those kind of 5 exercises, I think you're underway to getting to the point where you want to be. How can I make at-home workouts more challenging? Resistance bands are really, really good for home workouts because they do add that extra little bit of resistance. Water bottles that you can fill up with water. Just remember, like a liter of water is a kilo. Increase your reps, slow your reps down, focus on mind muscle connection. Unilateral exercises, which means single arm or single leg or single body part, they're really, really good. Excuse me. Mix it up with circuit training if you can for at-home workouts. So that's probably the best way to make it a little bit more challenging at home. How often should I switch? How often should I switch up my workout routine? Okay, this is different to everybody's goals, but for me, in my opinion, every 4, 6, 8 weeks is generally good. It's a really good benchmark, depending on what type of program you're doing and what your overall goal is. I know with our clients, we like to do around about 8 weeks because I think that's just enough time to get them into momentum, start doing some progressive overload and seeing some results, give them a deload week and then start again. But I've seen tons of programs that are 4 on, 1 off, 4 on, 1 off, 4 on, 1 off, or 6 on, 1 off, or 2 off. So it all depends on your goals, but every sort of 4, 6, 8 weeks is really, really good. Changing your exercise routine up, throwing in unilateral stuff there for stability work, because we just got to remember our body adapts over time. To avoid and to prevent plateaus, we need to challenge it. So try some new things the next set you're going to be doing. Is it better to do cardio before or after weights? Okay, in my opinion, if you want to lift weights and that's your goal, cardio at the end. Save the energy for the lifts. There's nothing worse than seeing people jump on a treadmill, smash themselves for 30 minutes, go to lift weights, and they're absolutely exhausted and they can't lift what they normally lift because they've taxed themselves already. So in my opinion, cardio is much better at the end. Okay, now if your goal is cardiovascular, then doing cardio at the start is great. It's sprint intervals and things like that. Okay, it's good for general overall fitness. So there's no wrong answer. Just don't skip either. We need a bit of cardio. We need a bit of resistance training at the same time. But if your goal is to lift weights, save the cardio for the end. 10, 20 minutes on a treadmill at the end. There's kind of like your cool down anyway. What's the benefit of training with a partner? Now, accountability. There's nothing worse than saying that I'm going to show up for a weight session and you don't show up. Motivation, I guess, or discipline as well. So, being there with them, then pushing you a little bit more harder. Like generally you're going to lift better if you've got someone there pushing you. Having a spotter, which is really good when you want to increase your weights, because there's nothing worse than thinking, Jesus, I can do 70 kilo bench press. I want to do 75, but I'm not sure if I can get the bar up. Having a spotter is really, really beneficial. Bit of competition is really, really great, but it just makes it an overall better experience. If you can handle training on your own, which I do, and I really like doing, except for now doing CrossFit, I find a little bit of solstice in being able to be with myself, but having someone there to be accountable with just makes it so much better. How long should I stretch for each day? Okay. If you're David Goggins, it's 2 hours, but that guy puts himself through hell. But for us, say middle-aged people, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day is probably great for daily maintenance. It's maybe a little bit longer on workout days, and your rest days, maybe a little bit less if you need to. But I would be focusing my stretching on areas that are niggly and need to be maintained well, and then don't neglect the other areas. For example, if your legs are cooked from leg day, still do your upper body, because you're going to be training that the next day, and we want to make sure everything's nice and open and flexible for when we go back to the gym. It's probably one of the most boring things to do, but if you're sitting down watching Netflix, there's no reason why you can't stretch for 10 minutes while you're watching or listening to the TV, right? We're just making an excuse. So yeah. Is high intensity interval training good for beginners? Okay, I think any training is good for beginners. It's getting you off your ass and moving, which is phenomenal. Okay, the problem with most people days, why obesity is an epidemic, is that everyone's fucking lazy. COVID's pushed everyone to be back at home, and hardly any people are moving. So any form of training is really, really good. It depends on your level. If you are just starting out, HIIT training is really, really difficult. Okay, it's taxing on the body. So slow it down, do shorter intervals if you can, and just ease yourself into it. Don't start trying to lift massive weights, because it ain't gonna work. Okay, focus on proper form before doing anything, especially if you're a beginner. Listen to your body if you're taxed, and just do 1 or 2 sessions a week. Interval training is really, really hard. Just do 1 or 2 sessions a week to start with, just to get the cardio up a little bit. And then if you feel like doing 3, go for 3. How do I keep my cardio varied? Look, it depends on what you like to do. If you like running, run. If you like swimming, swim. If you like cycling, cycle. Okay. Try and mix it up a little bit, because if you're not into those cardiovascular activities and you want to use cardio for what it's worth for your heart, maybe just go for a bike ride, or maybe, go for a walk every now and then. Just incorporate the stuff that you like doing. I like to do my cardio outdoors if possible, so walking or cycling is good for me. But I also get a little bit with CrossFit as well. So that's how I mix it up a little bit. Can yoga be a substitute for cardio? I think so. It's not high intensity, but man, some of those things you have to get your body into really, really push your body to the limits, and they do speed up your heart rate. So I wouldn't say it's a massive substitute for cardio, but you can be. If you do Bikram yoga and things like that, obviously being in the heat, it elevates the heart rate as well. But it's more for flexibility and building strength and a bit of mobility. So it's not necessarily there to burn calories, but yeah, it's a form of it. Is it better to do fasted cardio in the morning? This is one of those things that's, I think, can be a placebo. If it works for you, do it. If you feel good doing fasted cardio, do it. If you don't. For me, I need to have energy in my system to be able to do cardio. So if I used to run or cycle, I'd make sure I had some form of carbs, fats, and sugar in my system, so I could use that fuel to burn off in the first hour or so. But some people swear by it. I don't like to do cardio fasted. I need that energy. It feels good to have a bit of rice cakes and peanut butter in the system, going out and flogging myself. So yeah, it's up to you really. If you tried it and you like it, do it. If you haven't, don't worry about it. How do I know if I'm overtraining? I think we answered this question already, but fatigue, poor sleeping, lack of motivation, your performance is declining, not lifting the same, soreness, recurring injuries, all those things are contributors to overtraining. So listen to your body. Rest days are just important as lifting days, if not more important. Okay, don't skip rest day. Skip leg day, but don't skip rest day. Should I use ice baths for recovery? I believe so. I think they're a fantastic thing for helping reduce inflammation, but they're not for everyone. Okay, they're not for everyone. They are hard work to sustain, but that's only for the first couple of times. Okay, it's a bit of a shock to the system, but they have definitely been proven to help reduce inflammation. Okay, 15 minutes per week, they say, is, I think it's 11 minutes to be honest, but is ideal for recovery. They're definitely mentally challenging and can be rewarding in that sort of aspect as well. There's nothing better than pushing yourself through something in life. Something like that is very rewarding in that aspect, but cold showers are just as good. Obviously, they don't get as cold, but for me, I love a dip in the ocean. I think that's more better for recovery. A dip in the ocean is amazing. Feel the sand on your body, the waves crashing into your legs. That's the best feeling for me. What role does nutrition play in recovery? Huge role. It's like its sister in recovery. So when when we're in recovery, you can't skip carbs and proteins. They're absolutely important. So post-workout meals are just as important as pre-workout meals. Okay. Carbs help replenish energy stores, especially after you've smashed yourself at the gym or in some form of intensive training. So don't forget carbohydrates. Okay. Protein, carbohydrates. Even more important than that is electrolytes, salt. We need to replenish it. We've sweated it all out, so we need to bring it back in. So a lightly salting your meals is really, really good. Adding salt to your water is even better, or buying some form of hydration like Dr. Hydrate or something like that that's got electrolytes, potassium, and magnesium in it for recovery. Super beneficial. Okay. But like they say, you can't outrun a bad diet. So recovery starts with what you eat. Okay. Last three. What role does nutrition? How can I get better? How can I get better sleep to aid my recovery? Get the sleep. Forcing yourself to go to bed at set times would be the biggest one. I know, for example, for me, I got a lot of nighttime work because we've got a lot of clients that start. We've got clients overseas. Got to get up early sometimes, so it can be tricky to judge my bedtimes. And it's my routine's not. I'm in bed at 8 every night, and I'm up at 6 or 4. Sorry, it's not the way it works. Last night I was in bed at 9:15, got up at 4:15 this morning. Kind of, only 6 or so hours sleep, 7 hours sleep. But having some sort of consistent sleep schedule will really, really help you get to bed and wake up at the same time each day. Obviously, the old limit screen time. I mean, that's not that avoidable these days, but if you can, have some sort of routine where you calm yourself down. I sometimes put on a playlist or something in my ear just so I can, deaden my the craziness in my head. But yeah, if you can feel comfortable in the bed, the hardest part is, especially if you've got a partner in the bed with you, is regulating your temperature, because generally she's super hot and I'm super cold. So I like my room to be cold, a bit cooler. But yeah, just try and get into a routine. Routine creates habits. Habits create long-term effects. Last question: how do I avoid burnout in my fitness routine? Okay, burnout is very, very common in especially newbies, because we get really good results really quickly in the gym, and then we tend to go really, really hard, and then we don't listen to our body and we get some form of injury or burnout occurs, especially in newbies, because it's super excited. If you've been in the gym for, let's say, 2-3 years, you generally learn what your body can and can't take, and it's okay for you to push through little bits and pieces. But if you're a beginner, scheduling your rest days and making sure you take them is fucking important. If you're training a newbie for fat loss or muscle gain, 3 days a week is optimal to get in the gym, and having those other days as rest days or recovery days, but still walk at the same time. Okay, we still need to do some form of movement. Keeping it interesting in terms of doing training that you love will stop burnout, because you'll want to go back. Which is a great thing. Setting realistic goals and breaking them down into bite-sized chunks that you can do, but also celebrating the small wins, because they'll give you excitement to go back into the gym. But lastly, it's like, to avoid burnout, you have to listen to your body. That's the most important thing. I can't tell you to stop unless you know how your body's feeling. I don't know how your body's feeling. It's too hard. It's too hard for a coach to say that's enough. We can see the data. If you're lifting, say, for example, consistently over 8 weeks, and you're increasing your weight, and all of a sudden the last 5 weeks or 4 weeks, you haven't increased your weight at all, and you're fatigued, you're not even hitting your water targets, you're not eating enough food, and you're also not sleeping enough, that's a recipe for burnout. So listen to your body, get the right fuel in, give yourself plenty of recovery, get some sleep if you can, and plenty of water, and you should be okay to continue on with your journey. All right, cool. Just double checking all socials and see if there's any questions that popped up. Hoodie or a helmet? Yeah. Yeah, that's personal, dude. I'm not going through that shit. Yep, cool. Now, all right, send us a DM if you can on that side. Thank you. All right, that's me for the day, guys. Thank you for joining. I really, really appreciate it. Join me again next week for the same thing. As usual, if you've got any questions that you want to ask in the DMs, please send them through. I'm more than happy to help in whatever way, shape, or form is possible. I have just finished another recipe book. If you want a copy, send me a message. I'll love to send you a copy of my recipe book for high protein, low calorie. I've got a vegan one too if you want it. If anyone's out there that does that, I've got a vegetarian one as well. I've got all of them if you need one. So I spent a bit of time doing those. I've also got a really good goal setting workbook if you need one of those for the next year. It'll set you up